Hey everybody, back again, and in honor of Memorial Day, we are going to be finishing up a trench knife. If you saw the previous video, you would have seen me forge it. Today we're going to get it finished, and we're going to talk about what it was for and why it was made. If you saw the forging video, you would have seen me take a piece of rebar and pound it out into this blade and get it all heat treated. Today we're just going to be doing the shine up, clean up, sharpen, and all that jazz for this knife. Basically, first thing I'm doing is knocking down all the forge scale with just a stropping non-woven belt. Basically getting all the scale off there so it doesn't eat up my other belts. And then I'm going to very quickly just throw a shine on it, get it cleaned up, throw a crude leather wrap on the handle. This is not going to be a pretty knife. They were not typically pretty. They were made to work, and work they did. These knives were not uncommon in the trenches in World War I, and the reason I'm making this knife specifically for Memorial Day is to kind of remind myself when I look at it, as well as remind everybody else watching this video, just how terrible warfare can be, and just what terrible price the men and women who died to defend this nation, and nations like it, paid. If you know a service member or you know a family who had service members, make sure you thank them for their service today. So we've got all of our grinding done on our blade here. It is nice and shiny. All that's left to do is sharpen that edge. It does have the bevel, as you can probably see. Let's see if I can get that reflection to show. Yeah, you can probably see that bevel on there. All I got to do is sharpen it up. It is a nice polished blade. Next thing I'm going to do is clean up this just a little bit more and then wrap the handle before I put a final edge on this. So we've got our blade all finished up. We've got the edge on there. We've got the knuckle section shined. We have our nice crude leather wrap on there. So what this was this is a weapon that was used in World War I in the trenches. Yes, it is crude, and that's exactly what they were. They were just pounded out of rebar in haste by guys who needed something to protect themselves with because their bayonets needed to stay on their rifles in case their trench was charged. This was in case that failed, and because you didn't have time to take your bayonet off your rifle. It's got a button release that pops loose, and that takes some time, especially in a panic situation, to take off. And what these were made in haste, effective self-defense tools for the trenches in World War I. Basically, there was a shortage of hand-to-hand combat weapons because they underestimated just how much hand-to-hand combat was going to take place in the trenches. So this was born out of necessity before companies would actually end up sending fully made trench knives over, like the brass knuckle, Texas toothpick, those kind of things. But this was the original trench knife out there. This was something that many guys defended their lives with, and yeah, it was made out of rebar. I'm just gonna put it through its paces, do some cutting with it, but this was something I wanted to do as a memorial for Memorial Day, kind of a grim reminder of just how terrifying and just how gruesome warfare could be in the past. I would not want to have to defend my life with something like this. Neither would I want to be attacked by something like this. And if you think about how personal a knife attack is, this would not be something you would want to have to fight against or fight with. But let's get to doing some cutting, and on a lighter note, doing some testing just to see what this can do. So we've got a water bottle here just to demonstrate what a cut from this is like. Very clean. Still have a piece of label on the blade from that other cut. Two at once with the edge all the way across both. Very clean cuts. Let's try just a light horizontal cut. Glides right through. So since this knife wasn't solely a cutting weapon, it was a thrusting weapon, I did want to see just how devastating the thrusting from this was. So well, it went right through. You can see that wound is such a clean cut that unless you apply pressure to it, it doesn't really bleed. But you would imagine, with your heart pumping, it would be a very bad day. and that 12-inch blade is definitely scary. Yet again, another reason why this weapon, even though it was made in haste, was made in such a way that it would just function. It was something you could depend your life on if you absolutely had to on the battlefield. Now, just to get an idea of the durability of the knife, we're just going to take a few whacks into a stump here. And looks like we don't have any edge damage. Just got the blade really dirty. So that's about what you can expect from a French nail trench knife from World War I. It may be a crude implement. It may be something that you wouldn't want to have to rely on, but you could rely on it. And I'd imagine that this saved a lot of lives in the trenches. I just wanted to do a quick shout out and say thank you to all of our armed service men and women out there, all of the families who have lost a soldier to the horrors of the battlefield. And I wanted to say thank you so much for the sacrifice you and your families have made. Until next time, God bless. Love you guys. Stay safe out there.